Black History Month, 2017. It should be brought to your attention that the origin, this is what you must search for, the origin of a thing. Not Black History Month. We know when that got started. That got started around the time of Lyndon B. Johnson. But the issue today, in the 21st century, we see a lot of talk about racism. This is not something that I have created, but yet I have to live with. Let's make that perfectly clear. I have to live within a racist society. You must learn how to survive. If you chase the origin back to when you were a slave and freed by Abraham Lincoln, this would be the starting point to figure out the origin of a thing that started between the states over racism and slavery. One side wanted the black man to be freed. The other side wanted to keep him in bondage. This is the 21st century. So the things that I will bring to you in tracing the origin is very important. The reason why it's important is because there were certain things that would have prevented the conditions that we see in the 21st century if things would have been handled on the course from what the man who freed you, Abraham Lincoln, if he freed you, he put you on a course for your independence. There's been many civil rights leaders that come along the way that have not yet been able to put the origin with the present to find out just how the solutions can be solved. A free person wants to be free of racism. That's all somebody's asking for. We're not asking for not even to even necessarily be equal. It doesn't have to be. In your own eyes, if you feel that you are of a different race that makes you better, even that's fine. I'll go along with that if you feel that way. But under the law, this is what needs to be addressed. I'm not here to deal with your feelings. The feelings on both sides could feel that they better than the other. I can't change that. I'm not going to try to go into your mind that deep to make you see why I am as equal as a man as you are. But if you feel that you are better, so be it. All I'm trying to give you is the facts of the origin. The origin says that Abraham Lincoln set a path for the independence of a slave, not the dependency on a slave master. Now that's gotten all twisted up. And that dependency still remains. It remains because black people look for something that they should have gotten in the first place is land. Once you have a land, that dependency starts to deteriorate very rapidly because you have a land, especially in a time of the Cotton King, you could have competed in that industry. Now, that didn't happen, but that does not take away the fact that Abraham Lincoln did set aside and was in motion of deporting black people. Yes, that's what he was in motion of doing. If he could see, he sought high and low for whoever wanted black people. He was sending you the opposite way, if that was a solution. He was also providing colonizations within the United States so that you could have an option to have land in the United States, or if you wanted to go back across seas, that would be fine for you too. These are the things to gain you a land that would gain you the independence. Without that, you will always find yourself searching and looking for somebody that's more likely going to be white, that's going to be able to appreciate your skills and talents. That's the same thing that was happening during slavery. A slave had values because of his skills and talents. So really, if you're looking at it, if you can sing or you're an entertainer of any kind, whatever your craft is, painting, auto mechanics, whatever it is, you're in the business of searching for someone in an industry that can give you a job, that can appreciate your skills. You've never really, as a black person, gained the survival of breaking that dependency of looking for someone that's more likely going to be white in your livelihood, for your own existence. That is what you do. Because, I mean, just as a black man to a black man, that's what we're talking. We're really not even talking about white people. Not yet. I'm talking about the feelings also of black people. Black people are always looking for a job. And like I just said, more likely the industry of that dominant culture being white is who you're seeking for. You're seeking a white person to advance you. That is not what Abraham Lincoln wanted for you. You should never have to depend on someone to advance your livelihood. Your livelihood was already being cut out and carved for you by Abraham Lincoln, who wanted you to work so that you could build your own culture and have your own perspectives of your own livelihood. That is what Abraham Lincoln wanted for you. Make no doubt about it. In simple terms, Abraham Lincoln was a segregationist. That is what he was. He did not. People get it confused with, I'm fast forwarding just a little bit, with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King did not believe in segregation. That is the only time, if you check your eras of Martin Luther King, his lifetime, that is the only time in history that you ever had such a dream to walk hand in hand with a white person. That just started. That's not that long ago. All I'm saying to you, as a black man to a black man, somewhere the course of what was intended for you never really developed, and you stayed on a course always in search of a good job. A good job means a good white man who owns a good business in what you're searching for. You're searching for a job, true that. But no one really can help you but of another race. Now, I can't, decide how the world turns. I can't. That is not what I can do. The world turns in a certain perspective. The black man only is piggybacking in search of a better slave master. You change job from jobs. Your employer is not a slave master. No, he is not. I am not saying your employer is a slave master. I'm simply saying that the roles have never changed as far as labor, and your talents and your trades are all based on you searching for a white man that has a business that he might be able to see your skills and bring you on the team. Nothing wrong with it. Only thing about it is you're only going to be able to be in a labor status. I did never have you as a owner of a business. See, that's the problem. You are not in ownership of anything, really. I mean, who? Everything is based off how talented you are. You know, how skillful you can be, how you are able to be trained for your own good, for your livelihood. I mean, it's just that simple. You're not really advancing yourself into any type of areas of entrepreneur. Not really, because the foundation is just so shallow. A very shallow source for you to enter the entrepreneur area. The entrepreneur is very important because then you can be able to reach back and give jobs to your own people. You can't do that. Every time I go looking for jobs or whatever, I know that the more likely the person who's going to hire me is going to be a white person. Now, I'm not here to advocate anything about that system. No, that is the system. That is the realism of the system. I'm not trying to overthrow the government in any way how it been still structured. That's not what I'm trying to do. It has nothing to do with trying to overthrow anything. No. Keep working the way you want to work. Love all people. But what I'm trying to say is you never had really an option to put yourself as an entrepreneur. And that is what you, as a black person, has been discriminated in. You were started off as an entrepreneur, but that was stripped from you at the time of cotton being king. So you had a great opportunity in cotton that you never really got because your land was taken away from you at the same time you was being free. That's all I'm saying. You can stay within the realm of the government labor system of searching for a white person. You can do that. Because that's what you're doing. You are looking for that good white person that's got a better opportunity for you to improve on your livelihood. That's what you do every day. Every day you get up and you know you're looking for that good job. You're looking for a better job. But a white person owns that. Make no doubt about that. That is what you in search of. Yeah. In the back of your mind, as a black man, you know you ain't looking for no black man today. You looking for a white man today. See, most people want to look at it from a different perspective. No, I'm not giving it to you like that. I'm going to give it to you what you should be doing for yourself as an entrepreneur. You ain't even in the game. The percentage of a study you're taking, well, we got Johnson & Johnson. Yeah, you always got somebody. I'm never saying that it's nobody, but I'm just saying the percentage is just too small. You can't deny this. You are not an entrepreneur race. No, you're not. I talk to people all the time. And all they're looking for is the same thing that a slave was looking for. Who could be his best white person he could find? Yeah, that is in the same core of black people. Now, how do you fix that? You fix that by staying with history as to how the course got off. We're off course. Ain't been on course, but definitely off course. Because Lincoln was killed too early, in his ingenious idea to make black people independent. He got killed way too early. And immediately once he was killed, your course died pretty much right then as far as your independence is concerned, as collectively a black people. See, today it's so easy to say, I got mine. That's easy, and you're talented. So you have an opportunity through your talents. Okay, and then the belief of education. Well, see, this is probably the biggest problem is in the area of education, because you look at Lincoln as the great emancipator. But if he's the great emancipator, why can't his writings come forth? What kind of mindset did he really have for black people? You have to go back to the origin. If you look at the Constitution, let's just bring it all to the forefront. If you look at the Constitution, the 13th Amendment, most of those writings, within the Constitution never really applied to you because you were a slave. The only time a black person had anything to do with the Constitution was during Lincoln's time. Okay, anything else, if you went back to the original slave owners who were presidents, etc., etc., it's a total conflict of interest to be able to think of you as being free. I didn't bring you here to be free. I brought you here to be as a slave. And that's simply the mindset of the President of the United States from the origin, 1776. All those people believed in slavery. So anything prior to Abraham Lincoln, all those people believed in slavery. So you only really had one time for anything meaningful, anything as a black person meaningful within the Constitution of the United States. It only comes from Abraham Lincoln. This is your foundation. Okay, why don't you know Abraham Lincoln? Why don't you know his writings? You can only find 2 sections of the 13th Amendment. That's like saying, why read the Old Testament? It's no reason to read the Old Testament. In fact, I only need to find one book that fits me within the Bible or the Quran or the Torah. Just one book. The biblical books are made up of many books, but you only want to find one. If you compare that to the Constitution, all the writings within the Constitution only really apply to you within the time frame of Abraham Lincoln, only gives you 2 sections. 2 sections of the 13th Amendment only adds up to less than 50 words. Something in that neighborhood of a count, 50 words. So out of all the years prior to Abraham Lincoln, all those words never really mattered. Nothing prior to Abraham Lincoln had anything to do with you. So here comes Abraham Lincoln with 2 sections of a 13th Amendment adding up to less than 50 words is supposed to be able to solve the problems that has happened centuries prior to him coming around. Okay? Now, I'm saying that to say it's very important that the educational system stop involving Lincoln's life the way they do. The way they have Lincoln's life being summed up within the 13th Amendment, 2 sections of it. I say to you, you have been shielded. You've been shielded from the facts. From the start. Lincoln had, and Congress approved Lincoln's 13th Amendment or /13th article approved by Congress had 20 sections. Now, whether they made it to the Constitution, however it got there as we see it today, it doesn't matter if the 18 becomes non-existent. Because you would want to read the Bible in its entirety. Sure, you would want to read the Quran. You would want to read the Torah in its entirety. So why, when it comes to the 13th Amendment, only 2 sections of the 13th Amendment is only made available to you, and that's stamped in your mind. Look, It's time for you to recognize that this man was very important, who laid out a mastery plan for you. That the government, yes, and the educational system, yes, that's who I'm talking about. Make no doubt. It is a design plan. Once they figured you could read, why would somebody want you to read what this man really wrote for you? It's not a conspiracy. No, it's not a conspiracy. It is truth. This man, Abraham Lincoln, and Congress passed 20 sections. But yet, you allow your kids to go to school and you say they're getting educated, but yet the 18 sections that the man who done all this as far as your liberation, he can't even get his writings to surface. It becomes a mystery. It becomes everything but what it was intended for, to uplift you into being an entrepreneur. Abraham Lincoln did that. But it's just a shame. It's a shame how you can take something about to be freed, but yet twist it where his mind will never find what he's really looking for and needs. It would be like releasing, you didn't domesticate an animal that was really a wild animal, in a sense, and now you still keeping it from knowing that he's the king of the forest. So a lion walks through the forest, so domesticated, you stomp his feet, he run like a dog from a mere man. A lion running from a man, that is what has happened. If you domesticate something so much, you could twist his mind to believe, the lion will think that it's a dog. And it'll run off because you stomped his feet. Take that comparison and understand, when you were freed, you had no education. You couldn't even represent the issues then that I'm talking about. So even this is unfair to you. Someone who done removed the entirety of Lincoln's 13th article / 13th Amendment as you see it today. None of that, even just in raw education, you should be curious as to what did Lincoln writings entail. You see, as long as somebody's telling you something, especially as a black man, me being a black man, it's hard for anybody to give me ear. You see, I can't get that. It's not a given. People want to know, well, how you know all this? Or where did you get all that from? Look, I don't have no secrets. I don't have none. This is coming to you so that you can say. You will never say that an elder didn't give you the truth. And you can, within your own ability, check it out. What I'm saying. I say Lincoln wrote 20 sections to the 13th Amendment / 13th article. Know what you're looking for when I give you where to find. You simply have to write the National Archives. That's all you have to do. That's your starting spot. The United States National Archives should not withhold Lincoln's original writings approved by Congress that stated 20 sections. Now those 20 sections, they've survived, some kind of way. Only some know this. But why ain't the educational system teaching this? You ain't interested? Why wouldn't you be, as a black person, interested if I'm telling you what appears now is only 2 sections, but you ain't never read the 18 that ain't never made it? It was all approved. And even if it's questioned as its authenticity, however way you want to put it, I'm sorry, I can't speak. I'm a black man. But you get my point. Anything that's authentic can be searched. It's authentic. This is authentic. You can research anything I'm giving you on your own. So, something being authentic, question it. Go right ahead. And when you find out that maybe he wasn't lying, Lincoln did have more than what you've ever read. You're going to feel like that lion, but yet you've been a dog running by somebody who didn't stomp their feet. Yeah, you was king of the forest, and you still can be if you know where to look. United States National Archives. That's where you want to go. Go to the National Archives and ask them in a letter, in an email, to provide you with Abraham Lincoln 13th article. That would be the Congressional Globe proceedings. Okay, something along that line where they can kind of, get a good feel for what you're asking for. Where is that found? In the Congressional Globe. Now, that date of it could probably be I believe 1861. It's a good date for that, 1861 through 1865. He was getting killed real soon, so that era of Lincoln is not really that difficult to search within their archives of a subject matter of the 13th article / 13th Amendment. It's not that difficult to search because, like I said, you're only talking about a man, as he reached president, didn't last very long. So you're talking about some presidential facts. That's what you're searching for. There you will find that Lincoln did, in fact, have, and approved by Congress, 20 sections of the 13th Amendment / article. However way you want to look at it, it's all the origin in which you're searching for. This isn't this isn't a matter of a black thing or a white thing. This is the right thing. Okay? People want to try to say, don't make my words out to be anything about racism. No, I'm not trying to make this a racial issue. This is a righteous issue. See, make sure you understand this. Plenty of talk about racism, a lot of bad things happening. Don't put me in that slot. I am a businessman. I am an entrepreneur who has been denied his rights in America. That's what this is about. This is about reparations. Yeah, you can say that. See, this is the right thing. This is not a racist thing. This is the right thing. You want black people to stay in their place. Okay. Because, like I said, prior to Martin Luther King, yeah, black people was in their place, and it was a segregated society. That's what it was. Now, you have to decide if segregation was the law. It was the law. Understand that. Parts of it should probably still be in effect based on the origin of Abraham Lincoln. You can't make people's lives harsher than what it was originally set out to be. Yes, people's lives are harsher because you didn't do as Lincoln prescribed. That makes my life harder. I was born supposedly into entrepreneurship. You kept me in a state of labor. That's what you did, because I should have birthrights to land. There's no doubt about that, because that's what it was written into law. What I'm asking for is simply give the land by the petition that Harry Guns versus the United States has already filed. Okay? Give me my day in court. Bring my petition into court. Nobody wants to represent Harry Gines. Harry Gines can represent itself. Bring your best. Because you got to explain why Abraham Lincoln's writings don't even appear in your educational system. That's what you're going to have to prove. Why it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist because you don't want people to think. You only want people to think the way you want them to think. That's why you don't provide Abraham Lincoln's entirety within his plan for black people. You don't. No, you don't. See, everybody ain't capable as being the person I am to get in there and dig and find these informations. But I'm going to give them that much, the people. Anytime you want information, please, that's for free from me. I'm not selling anything to the people. I have it. What I'm speaking on, yes, I do. And it's already filed in court. Been filed. This is the first time I've had a chance to speak. Please understand me. You have to understand. This is the first time I'm able to represent myself, and I have no supporters. I want you to know this. I will fight and defend what's mine. That is what I'm doing. If you don't want to get behind me, that's fine. But understand, if I am the only person that knows the truth and the origin as for the land that Lincoln wanted, if I'm the only person that knows that, you can best believe I'm telling the world. I'm telling the world right now, this tape must go to the United Nations. Somebody, myself, the world should know that the black man in America cannot read the entire program, destiny of Abraham Lincoln. You have shunned him from that information. Yes, you have. Because ask the average black person that, they're ingenious. Ask them the average question about the 13th Amendment. You mean to tell me you don't know about the 13th Amendment and you are a black person? Go ahead and ask them. Now ask them, how many sections is the 13th Amendment? That's an ingenious question. He will tell you too. Are you sure? This is all Lincoln wrote? Are you sure? Yes, he will agree with that because he has not, like I tried to explain to you, if you're educated to believe something, I'm talking very strange to you right now because I'm telling you something that, no, that can't possibly be. It's right here in front of me. Yes, because people can do as they want. They knew you were coming one day, but to show you the entire structure of Abraham Lincoln, that's easy. That's easy. You have to stop thinking the way you're thinking. That's real easy to find and research. You, as a black person, accept, like I told you, I'm not talking about anybody, disrespecting anybody. But black people really are the problem. They are the problem. Because I can't get you to understand the words that you just heard. Abraham Lincoln wrote 20 sections. Now you can believe 2, but I'm a black man trying to tell you something. You won't listen. It's okay. There can only be one. One message, one verdict, one decision, and for the rest of my life, you can count on this. Ain't nothing gonna change what I know, what I researched. Ain't nothing gonna change. So you either give me the day in court, because the rest of them ain't gonna represent. They not gonna help me. But as a man in this country that's doing all the representation for reparations, see, people right now, I know it's a House bill up there. Look, I understand all that. I know it's a House bill up there on reparations. But I'm Harry Gines. Make no doubt. You can structure anything you feel that I haven't read it. I'll be honest with you. Because you haven't read Harry Guns versus United States, why do we need to go any further? You want me to do something, read something that you write, but you don't want to read nothing that nobody else didn't wrote. See, you're going to have to deal with this one. Let me give you an example. Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade. Now, you can mention Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade then turned into the law of the land. That's just a civil case. Understand that. That's a civil case, but it turned into the law of the land. What I'm trying to tell you is you can have all your house bills you want, but you're going to come by Harry Guns versus the United States, case number 99-10-255. You're going to come by it. You're going to come across me some kind of way. I'm not laying down. I have a right to speak. It's not a matter who's with me. I know that because I know what you did, so they look at me as something strange too. But my facts are you cannot erase what Lincoln wrote. That is what you did. That is what you did. You wrote Lincoln. Yeah, you typed it all up. Then you turn around and you don't want it known to black people. That's the government. That's the educational system. Now that is what you do. But you're not going to do that to me. No, you're not going to do that to me. I'm daring you. Bring your best. But when you bring your best, then explain everything that I'm saying that is factual. Make sure every child in America, be it black or white, know Abraham Lincoln writings. Now, if you prove me wrong, you still would have to let everybody know what Abraham Lincoln wrote in his 20 sections. I'd be happy with that. Okay, will you educate the people then? Because as long as they're not educated, they're never going to get on the path what I'm talking about. So it's real difficult for me. This is a hell of a burden. Because there's some know it, but they don't know how really to start the battle. I got the battle. If it's one man, see, it's always one. I'll be that one. I'll be that one that you ain't gonna never be able to make disappear. I'm on Tech 9 and it's going to the United Nations. That's where I want it to be. This is the course Malcolm, Martin, Jesse, all them, Farrakhan, yeah, I don't want to leave out nobody. I don't want to leave out nobody. Al Sharpton, yeah. All y'all been working, carrying that banner, but you never really put it together. It's right here. Now, you may not want me amongst you. Maybe I shouldn't. Because even Martin said it'd be best for some of y'all not to march with me. See, now you get on this bandwagon, you got to stop being scared. Oh, you scared? Yeah, I know you is, because how you going to be an educated man but yet can't tell your own people that Lincoln did make it possible for you to have land in this country? How can you possibly be an educated man and not make sure that the next generation would know the origin of Abraham Lincoln did want land for the freed black man? That's what he wanted. Okay? Look, understand this. Black people, real simple. The word is amalgamate. That is the word. Amalgamate. Meaning the mixing of races. Don't blame me how God structured people. Okay? Now, however people move around the world, the majority know where their land is. This is their origin. Okay? They're from European. They're from Africa. They're from China. The red man of the Americas. the red man of the Americas, North or South. Okay? We say these things because it's important for everybody to know segregation is something God done. So don't blame me. Abraham Lincoln believed in segregation. That only started from Martin Luther King's dream that it was possible for black men and white men to walk hand in hand, and black people in general to be able to be fellowship amongst each other. That's new. Yes, it really is. And it don't look like that might be the way to go. I'm not really sure the way things are happening. I mean, it's just so much, too much work to do. Mental is really high on the list. It's very difficult to get the mental portion across. You're not even really technically supposed to even be around white people. No, I'm saying that to you. You really was never meant, in the United States, freeing you was one thing, but how you live today amongst white people, that wasn't how that was supposed to be. And it was that way a very long time. Like I said, up until Martin Luther King pointed out some issues. But technically, the way this country was ran, you weren't really supposed to be ever amalgamated within the American way was segregation. That never really changed. So it's a shock still for some white people to see, so much amalgamation. The amalgamation today is just, it has no bounds. It clearly is a melting pot. It really is. Now at some point, until we can get all the things that are righteous, like I said, this is a righteous presentation. This has nothing to do with racism, no. This is just, I want this to be perfectly clear. Keep my presentation about the righteous. See, I'm not trying to hate on you. I mean, you did what you did because it keeps your livelihood on top of your game. That's fine. But understand, that's really not true how it was from the origin of Abraham Lincoln. He might not wanted you to be amongst white people, black and white people being amalgamated together. That's not what Lincoln was about. He was still keeping the races segregated. Okay, that was very important to him. No, you just don't do certain things under Lincoln's laws. See, the black man was a product in America. You got to keep that in mind. So he was always on count in some kind of way. His count was 3/5. That's a black man. Now, 5/5, of course, is whole. That would be a white person. That's just how this, I did not create that. Okay? That's how it is. Now, if you want me to stay in that box, okay, in some ways, 3/5 may be to the advantage of a black person. So you can't take that away from black people either. No, because taxes under 3/5 means we pay less taxes. See, so you want us to be whole when it's to your advantage, but yet you keep wanting to make that 3/5 disappear. No, it don't disappear. Technically, black people are mere 3/5 on count in the country as righteous. I didn't write that, but that is, you just can't take something away. It's still in the Constitution. 3/5 is still in the Constitution. So what is it there for? All these politicians are talking, but when they talking, you want to take away and add things. Roe versus Wade. You want to add things, but you really don't want to take away 3/5. So why is it there? But you add something like Roe versus Wade, killing of a fetus. Okay? Look, I'm only in this because of the origin. Trying to get what's rightfully mine as an entrepreneur, born in this country to be an entrepreneur. Under the origin, do the right thing. Abraham Lincoln is what I'm standing on, and it's legal. Under the ex post facto clause, you have no right to make any laws harsher than they were at the beginning. The 13th Amendment, without the full 13th Amendment being 20 sections, by you only taking two and giving that to the people, the two, yes, that makes my life harsher. Those laws, I would like to have some ear to, are illegal because they're not in their entirety and they were approved by Congress. So, because you choose to do that with the next president, he's going to eliminate all the other 18. You've never shown the people. No, I say that's not right. That's never been properly even represented. We say Harry Guines versus the United States. Let it be known. I'm telling everybody that you are not getting your fullest of the 13th Amendment by Abraham Lincoln. Now, at some point, like I said, I'm not here to try to overthrow your government. That's not my aim at all. I have no interest in that. I have no interest in fighting you. Look, people being violent, I can sum that up for you. Do you want to win or do you want to lose? If you want to win, then you need to stop trying to act violent. I am not nonviolent. Any human being has violent natures to survive. Don't ever think that. But what I'm saying is be careful because one tank can go coast to coast. This is what history has shown you in Detroit. They brought tanks out during the years of the civil rights, the early civil rights movements. They brought tanks out, National Guards out. You can't win. I'm trying to be a winner. Okay, I'm a winner. That's what I'm into. I can do this, very easily from a litigant standpoint, litigation. That's how you win. Even my lineage from, those before me. Dred Scott, Martin Luther King, Farrakhan, everybody's into litigation now. That's where your win is. Because you ain't going to be violent. How you going to be violent, against a superpower when y'all basically would be as outdated as a slingshot? Yeah, it's a lot of guns out here. It's a lot. But come on, man. You can't win that one. Okay? You ain't going to win that one. So if you're trying to be a winner, you really need to up your game a little bit. Step your game up. Because unless you're studying law, what else does a black man have? Get with the law. Be law-abiding. Stay within the law. See, nobody's going to never say, you didn't like my presentation. Well, you didn't like the truth. You just didn't like the truth. You're not going to turn my presentation into anything. I'm not going to allow you. Because I know you analyzed everything, but you're not going to find it in this presentation. This is a historical piece. I'm a historian, yes. That is what I am. I'm not trying to advocate nothing but entrepreneurship. That's the only thing I'm advocating. By birth, a black man must be a businessman. I'm a businessman. That is what I'm trying to explain to you. You are withholding my business potentials from Lincoln. And I'm here now to let it be known to the world that you must read Lincoln's 20 sections. If you don't read those, then you on that page of trying to keep me from being an entrepreneur. If that's the page you on, then you're the person I need to battle with. Why are you doing that? Why are you keeping my children from learning and being educated properly about Abraham Lincoln? You say he freed somebody. Well, what did he do? What did he set forth? He set forth two sections? No, I beg to differ. That's all I'm saying. I beg to differ.